Alright, what's up? We're back again. Sorry we had to leave there for a little bit. We had to eat. But we're going to pick up right where we left off. When Fuminori raises his axe high for yet another attack, Koji sees that his movements have grown dull enough. Seizing the opportunity, Koji charges into Fuminori's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminori recoils in fear, Koji brings his pipe crashing into his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of ribs breaking. Pain drives Fuminori to his knees. Staring down at Fuminori's defenseless head, Koji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver the finishing blow. Which is when something wraps itself around his left ankle. What? The instant Koji panics at the unexpected sensation, something soft yet strong winds itself right around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand, too, is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. The monster is still. That monster is still. That's it, sire. Fuminori says encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted with pain, he manages a terrible, victorious grin. Sire, this thing is... Koji struggles desperately, trying to free his limbs from the creature's horrifying grip. But more and more tentacles swarm over his body like snakes, stealing his freedom of movement. The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the appearance of the creature attacking him is enough to threaten his sanity. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his breathing and circulation, it's trying to snap his neck, and it's squeezing tighter and tighter. I'm going to die. Just as that final thought enters his fading consciousness, a sudden explosion brings him back to his senses. With a horrifying, inhuman scream, the creature releases Koji and retracts its tentacles. The first thing he sees after regaining his mobility is Ryoko running down the hall with a smoking shotgun in her hand.
Sensei!
Doctor! Ryoko responds by tossing the silver tube in her other hand to Koji, who's still lying on the floor. It's the thermos she showed him at the restaurant, the one she called her secret weapon. Pour it on that thing, Ryoko shouts to Koji. At the same time, she aims her gun at Fuminori, who's still on his knees about 5 paces away. The double-barreled sawed-off shotgun still has one shot loaded. The monster that attacked Koji is writhing in agony, apparently still recovering from Ryoko's shock. He's already seen, however, that bullets aren't enough to kill these creatures. Now is his only chance. You, what are you doing? Gritting his teeth against the pain of his broken ribs, Fuminori glares at Koji and Ryoko. Forcing himself to be calm, Koji stands and carefully unscrews the lid of the thermos. There's no question in his mind that something extremely potent is inside. As soon as it's unsealed, a thick white mist pours out of the thermos, and the surrounding air suddenly becomes freezing cold. This is... Guessing what's inside, Koji ruthlessly throws the thermos at the pile of flesh convulsing on the floor. The thermos sails through the air, spewing white fog like a smoke grenade. Its liquid contains contents spraying the creature crawling on the floor like a baptismal font. Its scream this time is literally a death cry, incomparable to before. Wreathed in white smoke, the monster thrashes in agony. Its screams are joined by Ryoko's cackling.
どうよ、マイナス197度だよ。冷たい、熱い、ざまだよね。
My cat wanted to come inside. Sorry about that, guys. How do you like that? Minus 197 degrees. Is it cold? Hot? Not so tough now, are you? To Ryoko, perhaps the joy of defeating her nightmare was worth sacrificing her sanity. The expression on her face as she laughs maniacally is clearly that of someone who is no longer in their right mind. Get off my lap. You're not a part of this. Damn you. I'll kill you. Fuminori staggers to his feet, roaring black curses. His rage seems to have drowned out the pain of his broken bones. Ryoko is not one to underestimate the threat posed by his axe. Her mad laughter fades away, leaving behind a cold smile as she pulls the trigger. No. My cat doesn't want to listen. She's such an attention hog. With a short burst of a dark flame, Ryoko's gun sputters and dies. Ryoko is not an expert on firearms. She never knew that shotgun shells needed to be properly stored. In any case, she always expected that any situation where her gun would be necessary would also be one that she would not survive. No, don't get on my desk. No. Yeah, my cat would do this during the live stream. She doesn't listen to people. Cursing in anger and dismay, Ryoko breaks the shotgun open and awkwardly pulls the dud out. Meanwhile, Fuminori stalks towards Ryoko like a vengeful demon, dragging the head of his axe along the floor. This is bad. Koji tries to charge at Fuminori, but only succeeds at sending himself sprawling again. One of his shoes is stuck to the floor, rendering him immobile. He realizes that the liquid nitrogen he poured on Saya has also frozen the floor around him. As Ryoko fumbles in her pocket for a new shell, Fuminori closes the distance and raises his axe in both hands. Damn. Koji curses and rips his shoe free from the frozen concrete, but he won't be able to make it to them in time. Don't even think about it. Don't get up there. She wants to get on my desk. God. It's at times like this I wish I had a spray bottle. Ryoko thrusts a new shell into the chamber of her shotgun and snaps it closed, then looks up to find her target. Fuminori is right before her, too close to evade, and his axe is already crashing down upon her with the wind howling in his wake. Stop! The sound of bones shattering, tendons snapping, and flesh tearing bend together in foul harmony. Don't chew on the cord. She's trying to chew on my headset cord. No. Look it up. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Had to put my cat outside, because if I didn't, she would bother me throughout the stream, I assure you. Good. The thick blade has entered through Ryoko's left shoulder, plowing through her collarbone and shoulder blade, smashing several ribs and popping her lung like a balloon before stopping in the center of her chest. Her expression frozen in shock by the impact, Ryoko sprays a geyser of blood from her mouth. She should have died instantly, but through some unimaginable force of will, Ryoko clings to life for a few seconds more. Grinning through her blood-stained lips, she raises her shotgun. Not to the front, but to the side. God, she's got a crazy look on her face. But when does she not? Beyond the barrel of her gun, half of its body weighing the 77-degree Kelvin mist like a white cloak of death. Wearing the 77-degree Kelvin mist like a white cloak of death is the weakly wriggling side. No! The 12-gauge shotgun drowns out Fuminori's scream in a thunderous explosion of light and sound far more powerful than that of Koji's revolver. The destruction is absolute. The impact of the shotgun pellets completely blows away the part of Sai's body that fell prey to the liquid nitrogen. The frozen particles of Sai's shattered flesh drift to the floor like snow. Even Sai's special biology is insufficient to seal a wound of this size. Nearly half of her body is gone, and from the opening pour her innards, a tide of liquid, slime, and fat whose color is far too foul to belong to any living creature. The monster convulses, wailing in a weak, pitiful voice. Saya. With his axe still buried in Ryoko's body, Fuminori stares at the dying creature, his expression utterly devoid of emotion. Koji grabs his pipe and prepares to attack Fuminori from behind, but freezes when he sees the emptiness on the face of the man he'd hated as a murderer. Fuminori pulls his axe out of Ryoko's corpse, then looks at Koji with glazed eyes, as though he doesn't recognize who he is. When Koji meets Fuminori's blank stare, he knows there's no longer anything left in Fuminori to kill. Fuminori grips the axe closer to its head and raises it high, the blade pointing at his face. Koji doesn't know whether or not he should interfere, but even if he wanted to, what could he say to stop Fuminori? Fuminori pulls his head back slowly, yet surely, then drives his face into the blade of the axe like a spring-loaded toy. Oh shit. Yeah, he just smashed his face into the axe. It's probably the worst way to kill yourself, Jesus. Crunch. His skull caves in with a dull, wet sound, and the spray of blood catches Koji in the face. Despite Fuminori's complete lack of hesitation, his first attempt at suicide only succeeds in transforming his face into a piece of crimson art. Fuminori pulls his head back one more time, even slower than before, then, with every ounce of strength left in his body, slams it into the blood-stained axe. The sound is wetter than before. Like a marionette with its strings cut, Fuminori tumbles face first to the floor. Koji stares at the two mangled corpses for a while, feeling completely left behind, like he doesn't even know why he's standing in this place with a steel pipe in his hand. The stale air filling the ruined building becomes choked with the stench of blood, and the crimson puddles gradually spread across the snow-covered floor, yet the tranquility of the scene makes it seem like a painting. A soft, slimy sound breaks the silence. Koji looks at the mortally wounded monster as though just remembering that it's there. The creature is clearly on death's door. Even so, it moves. Slowly, feebly, it drags its broken body through the sea of blood covering the floor. It's coming for Fuminori. Koji had forgotten his anger, but now it comes surging back at full force. Die. Koji growls and stabs the monster with the end of his steel pipe. It convulses in agony but keeps crawling towards Fuminori. Koji explodes into a frenzy of rage. Die. Just die already. Stay the hell away from Fuminori. Again and again, he smashes the helpless flesh beast with his pipe. For some reason, he's convinced that if he doesn't stop it here, he will have truly lost. The monster, however, never succumbs to Koji's beating, and finally reaches Fuminori's corpse. Don't touch him. Don't touch Fuminori, damn you. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think we are? What's that they say in Gurren Lagann? Reminds me of that. On the verge of tears, Koji continues to swing his pipe furiously. The monster's slimy fluids fly through the air, joining with the blood already covering his face. The creature extends one thin, trembling tentacle to touch Fuminori's shoulder, then lovingly caresses his blood-stained cheek. And then, it stops moving. Even in its final moments, the monster would not let go of Fuminori. It died, joined with him. At last, Koji knows that he has lost everything forever. Oh.
ねえねえ、今度のスキーだけどさ、今年はどっかスケートも遊べるところにしない?
Hey, Omi says enthusiastically, the exposed bones of her face clattering. Why don't we go somewhere skating for this year's ski trip? Chunks of her body are missing, as though something's been nibbling on her ear. On her ear, what the... I come up with these words sometimes when I'm reading this, and I have no idea why. I don't know where they fucking come from. It makes her look a lot thinner. She's been worried about her weight recently, but now she shouldn't need to diet.
そういえばオウミってこの間初めてスケートやったんだって?
Haha, Fuminori laughs at Omi's crazy suggestion. That's right, you just started skating recently, didn't you? He sounds amused, but it's hard to tell from his expression, since his face had been cleaved in two by an axe.
20歳になって初体験ってのは興味そうそういないんじゃないかな。
I don't think there are many first-time skaters in their 20s these days.
子供の頃はなんとなく怖かったのよ。あの靴、なんだか刃物みたいでさ。
I was kind of scared when I was little. Those shoes seemed like knives to me.
うん、わかる。あの靴で顔を蹴られたら、きっと僕みたいになっちゃうよね。
Yeah, I know. If someone kicked you in the face with those on, you'd probably end up like me. Omi and Yo laugh at Fuminori's dumb joke. Yo never used to laugh with such exuberance. Now that she and Fuminori are officially lovers, she seems truly happy.
でも、いきなり蹴って殺せたの？オミちゃん、すごくない？
But you were able to kill him on your first try? That's amazing, Omi-chan.
容量はバットとそう変わるもんじゃないからな。思い切り振り回して 斧頭の重さに任せて叩きつける感覚とか。
It's not very different from swinging a baseball bat, after all. You swing hard and let the weight of the axe do the damage.
海のりにそう言われたもんだからさ、騙されたと思ってやってみたわけよ。そうしたらもう楽しくって。
That's what Funori said, so I took his word for it and gave killing him a try, and it was fun. Killing people is just the most enjoyable thing ever. It's like a game. What is this strange feeling? Something is wrong, though Koji can't put his finger on exactly what. Well, I don't know, maybe talking casually about killing people, that might be something. And the fact that they're all dead.
私も見てみたいな。オミちゃんが食べられるところ。
I want to see Omi-chan being eaten too. Yay, let's all watch it. Ah, that's it. When he sees Yo's envious smile, Koji finally realizes what's wrong.
なあ、つくば。
This whole scene. Hey, Tsukuba.
どうしたの、コウジ君。
What's wrong, Koji-kun?
お前だけなんで普通なんだ。
Why are you the only one who's normal? Yo tilts her head quizzically, like she doesn't understand what he means.
普通って？私はいつも普通だけど。
Normal? I'm always normal.
でもお前、確かあの時。
But back then you were...
ああ、
Oh, I get it. Yo nods in understanding.
なんだ。私がコウジ君と違う姿になってた頃のこと？
You're talking about when I look different than you?
昔の話じゃない。
That was such a long time ago.
昔なのか。
It was?
そうだよ。
Of course, she replies, deflecting Koji's confusion with that uncannily cheerful smile.
だってコウジ君も今じゃ私たちの仲間じゃない。
After all, you're one of us now. One of us. One of us. Oh, of course. Koji looks down and is satisfied to see wriggling tentacles where his arms and legs should be. One of us. When he opens his eyes, his pillow and mattress are soaked in sweat. It's always the same nightmare. He doesn't know how many times he's seen it, but at least he's not leaping out of bed screaming anymore. Clutching his throbbing head, Koji sits up in bed. It's 4 a.m. He hasn't had nearly enough rest, but he probably won't be able to get back to sleep tonight. Anyway, it's time for a smoke. A full pack will last him until dawn. Now, where did he put the pack he bought yesterday? Koji wanders sleepily into the den, where yet another old friend is waiting for him.
ひどいありさまだね。まったく。
You look like hell. Seriously.
ああ、先生。いたんですか。
Oh, Doctor, you're here too. Ryoko's chopped up corpse is sitting at his dining table, looking as deathly pale as ever as she sips coffee from a mug.
毎晩ずいぶんと辛そうじゃないか。ろくに眠れてないんだろ。
You suffer every night, don't you? I bet you're not getting enough sleep.
そうでもないですよ。薬を飲めば割となんとかなります。
It's not always like this, Koji says amicably, as he sits down across from her. If I take some medicine, it usually helps. For now. Hallucinations like these are easier to deal with than elaborate nightmares like the one he just had. They should probably worry him more, though.
あの時私の忠告を聞き入れてれば、ここまで追い詰められることなんてなかっただろうに。
If you'd listened to my warnings back then, you wouldn't be in such bad shape now.
もうやめましょうよ、それは。過ぎたことじゃないですか。
Let's stop talking about that. What's done is done. Ryoko chuckles, smiling with the same cruel, mantic smile that she used when she was alive. Her left arm hangs from her half-severed shoulder, dangling like a forgotten wind chime.
そう。結構折り合いをつけてるんだ。
I see. Looks like you've come to terms with it.
先生だってそうだったんでしょう。普段は優秀な脳外科医で通用してたんだから。
You were the same, weren't you? You managed to live as an elite neurosurgeon most of the time, after all.
上辺だけ取り繕うだけならそんなに難しいことじゃないからね。
If you're just keeping up a facade, it's not that hard. The corpse shrugs her shoulders, her intact right shoulder that is, and grimaces in disgust as she takes another sip of her coffee.
でもね、多分この先はもっと悪くなるよ。
But it's probably only going to get worse, you know.
心の傷は時間が癒してくれるけど、君はまあ言ってみれば毒に感染したようなものだから。
Time heals emotional wounds, but with you, it's like you've been poisoned. She's probably right. Everyone dreams at night, no matter how dim the memories get. The nightmares will always be there to tear into Koji with fresh fangs. The insanity that has taken root in his heart will grow, eventually consuming everything that's left inside of him.
俺の場合、先生っていう前例を見て学んでますからね。抜かりはありませんよ。
In my case, I've had you to learn from. I'm ready for anything.
へえ、そうなの。
Oh, really? Koji nods, smiling confidently, then stands and walks into the bathroom, where he retrieves the weapon that he keeps hidden behind the mirror. It's Ogai's revolver, the one souvenir that Koji brought back from the other world that night.
ものすごい苦労したんですけど、結局ようやくその筋の人と渡りをつけましてね。
It was a lot of trouble, but I finally found someone who deals in these things.
弾も買ってあります。驚きましたよ。銃そのものより高いなんて。
I bought bullets for it. Can you believe that ammunition is more expensive than the gun itself?
おやおや。
How about that? In the mirror, Koji sees Ryoko with her axe-inflicted gash reversed. She raises her mug as though to toast Koji's resourcefulness.
で、何発買ったわけ？弾は。
So, how many shots did you buy?
一発だけです。
Just one. This time, it's Koji who shrugs his shoulders. He uses both, exercising his privilege as a survivor.
それ以上必要になるような状況は、俺は願い下げなんで。
You see, I never want to be in a situation where I'll need more. Oh. The corpse in the mirror nods, seeming strangely reserved.
ほんと、わきまえてるんだね、トノ君。
You really do get it, Tono-kun. There's a brief silence. Koji doesn't really feel like getting all melancholy with the corpse.
ねえ先生、いい加減ファミレスのコーヒーはやめましょうよ。なんなら新しいの入れますから。
Hey doctor, let's give the diner coffee a rest. If you want, I'll put on a new pot of... When Koji turns around, halfway through his sentence, he realizes that the dining room is empty but for the silence of the night. Ellipsis. And so, Koji finally returns to the world of the sane. He lights his first cigarette of the night and takes a deep drag. While sitting alone in his den, puffing on his smoke, he stares at the gun in his hand. He knows just how precarious a cliff he's standing on. The final line that Ryoko spoke of is now one step behind him. Having finally crossed that line, Koji no longer has anything to protect his soul. Now that Ogai Masahigo's delusions and Tanbo Ryoko's paranoia have all become tangible horrors, he knows that insanity and despair. He knows what insanity and despair truly are. Even in the real world, Sakisaka Fuminori is already wanted for several gruesome murders. It didn't take long for someone to discover the stockpile of human meat in the empty Sakisaka and Suzumi houses. In the two refrigerators were found the remains of Suzumi Yusuke and his wife and daughter, and Takahata Omi. But they found the clothes and other effects of Tsukuba Yo, They found clothes and other effects of Tsukuba Yo, but were unable to locate any trace of her among the various body parts, a fact that made Koji's nightmares all the more vivid. Dr. Tanbo Ryoko and the T University Hospital mysteriously vanished at the same time. Because she was Fuminor's chief physician, the police have been investigating her connection to his crimes. As for the 2 corpses secretly buried in the backyard of a certain ruin, well, they'll probably never be found, and this incident will just become another cold case. Koji alone knows what really happened, and he has no intention of revealing it. Not now, and not ever. Ogai's writings were not nonsense, which means that everything else was. What fool was it who said that men are the lords of creation? Those who believe in those words of the worth of meaningless things like human wisdom and valor are those truly lucky people who have not looked into the abyss. Are those lucky people who have not looked into the abyss? What? See what I mean by how I add words to things? I notice I do that when I read these visual novels, and I have no idea why. Like, when I look at the recordings, I'm like, where did I get that word from? Koji no longer has any common ground with those who are blessed with such ignorance and nonsense. He knows he has been defiled by the insanity called truth, and he will never be able to believe again. If he has been poisoned, then that poison is none other than truth itself. Just as pure oxygen is harmful to the body, the naked truth has the power to destroy men's minds. Oxygen only becomes air when combined with 5 times as much nitrogen. Truth is the same. Only by diluting it with lies and taking it in small doses can humans maintain a healthy soul.
どんなに世界が底抜けにめちゃくちゃになっていこうと
No matter how unimaginably insane the world might become. Words once spoken by the living Tanbo Ryoko passed through Koji's mind.
悲鳴を上げて逃げ回る以外の選択肢が
I had some choice other than just running around screaming. Without a doubt, that was the comfort that she kept hidden in her bosom. The only thing that allowed her to face her dreams each night. Koji has taken his predecessor's lessons to heart. Of course, he's prepared. One bullet is always behind the bathroom mirror, promising him salvation. Alright guys, that was the second, I think. I'm gonna let the credits play here.
Soda した目の
Alright. So, we're going to try to get the final ending now. Wow, that ending is, yeah, that's my second least favorite ending. I think the only ending I really like was the first one, honestly. Because it's somewhat of a happy ending, in a sense. Because at least everybody doesn't die. Except for Omi. But in that ending, Koji is just, like, mentally scarred forever. So, I don't know. I mean, Saya dies, which is kind of a good thing. But, I mean, Koji's just scarred for life, so... I don't know, like, none of these endings are really, really good. They're all pretty, bleak. They're all pretty depressing. And especially this final ending you're about to see. Just a little forewarning before we get into it. This is, in my opinion, the third one. Third ending is in my opinion, the worst one. So, without further hesitation, let's go on ahead. Now, instead of choosing calling Ryoko, we're gonna have Koji do something really stupid and call Fuminori. I have no idea why you'd even think of doing that, but it's an option, so that's what we're gonna pick this time. It's time to finish this. Just as he promised earlier, Koji calls Fuminori again. The call goes through immediately, as though Fuminori was waiting for it. Hey, Koji, where are you? What difference does it make? As soon as Koji responds, the shrill sound of a phone ringing fills the house. Startled, Koji spins around and looks into the hallway. Fuminori's house phone is ringing and flashing to signal an incoming call. I see. I figured you'd be at my house. See, Koji, it was all a trap, dude. See, this is not a good idea to call the man that you're trying to kill. I mean, this should be common sense. Koji fell for it. Fuminori is the one calling the house phone. He probably used a different cell phone to call his own house while talking to Koji, knowing that, if he could hear the phone ringing on the other end, he could pin down Koji's location. Sorry about that. Fuminori must have predicted that the first thing Koji would do would be to break into his house, and, upon finding it empty, immediately call him. So, I guess you've already seen everything. Yeah, Koji responds fearlessly, even as he feels horrified by the cunning and foresight that Fuminori has begun to show. It looks like you've become quite the meteor since we last met. Just how many people have you killed? Actually, I've only killed one so far, Fuminori replies unapologetically, with perfect cheerfulness. I've taken apart 3 or 4 though. I've gotten pretty good at cutting the tendons and draining the blood and such. Koji no longer feels sadness or horror when faced with Fuminori's inhumanity. There's only the cold desire to kill the creature speaking such revolting words with his friend's voice. You killed Omi, didn't you? You were lying when you said you hadn't seen her. I wonder. Fuminori mutters, seeming somehow embarrassed. No, he didn't actually see her, but he did eat her. Unbeknownst to him, that is, but he did eat her. To be honest, the one I ate first might have been Omi. It was the same day she disappeared, after all. Well, the body wasn't in any shape that I could identify, anyway. Koji already abandoned hope, of course, but this is the first time that he has learned of his lover's brutal end. Tsukuba too? No. Fuminori says with an exasperated chuckle. She's here, like I promised. I'm no fool. I need her to trade with you, right? I won't waste her. Let me hear her voice. I don't think that's possible. She's in no shape to talk, after all. And you probably wouldn't understand her anyway. Fuminori's dismissive words further sharpened Koji's bloodlust. You forget what I said? If you don't let her go unharmed. Come on, be happy that she's still alive. Or would you rather have Yo as a corpse? Let's get this straight, Koji. You bring your evidence along with all the files you've gathered. When I'm satisfied that they're the real thing, I'll hand Yo over. Fine. Even to Koji, it's obvious that this deal is a sham. In all likelihood, Fuminori is planning to kill his friend and bury his secrets forever. Moreover, Koji doubts that Yo is even alive. He could very well be somewhere in the refrigerator. Oh, her meat could very well be somewhere in the refrigerator, right in front of him. However, Koji isn't particularly interested in Fuminori's true intentions. After all, he has no intention of making a trade either. His only goal is to get close enough to destroy Fuminori and whatever it is pulling the strings. Where? You remember Professor Ogai's house? The one you followed me to? Let's meet there tonight at 7. Come along.
What?
Hey. Fuminori hangs up without waiting for Koji's response. Perhaps Fuminori too has sensed his opponent's intent. If so, then he has realized that Koji is not coming simply to be killed by him, but with the purpose of killing him as well. So we're two duelists trying to gauge each other's motives, Koji thinks to himself, smiling grimly as he pockets his phone. Right now, it's as though Koji and Fuminori are holding out their hands for the other to shake while holding knives behind their backs. It's astounding how much their friendship has changed. The question is whether or not to comply with this 7 p.m. rendezvous agreement. If this were a serious negotiation, it would be wise to avoid preempting Fuminori in any way that could provoke his anger. What Koji and Fuminori are really doing, however, is trying to lure each other into a trap where he can be hunted and killed. Koji doesn't know what Fuminori plans to do between now and 7 p.m., but he's not about to let his enemy keep the initiative. The fierce bloodlust that has taken root in his heart is more than enough to energize his exhausted body. Koji leaves the death-filled house, his stride more determined than before. Oh, Koji, you complete fucking idiot. Driving was such a dangerous proposition for me that I hadn't gotten behind the wheel of a car since my accident last summer. I can't see the roads as roads, or the cars as cars, after all. Until it became necessary this morning, I'd completely given up on the idea of driving on public roads. Now that I've had 3 months to get used to my condition, however, I can tell what the things I see are, such as which are cars and which are pedestrians. Even though I can't see the red and green of the traffic lights, I can figure out what they mean. Sorry about that. And I've learned how to tell when someone's turn signals or brake lights are flashing. I still can't read the street signs, of course. Nevertheless, I managed to make it safely to our destination with Saya and Yo in the back seat. After we decided to abandon our home, Saya was the one who came up with the idea for the new hideout. Our new hideout. When she'd been living in Professor Ogai's house, she discovered an abandoned building on one of her late-night strolls. In those hilly suburban residential areas that are still under development, it's not unusual to find thick, nearly untouched forests just off the beaten path. Saya's old playground is located in one such secluded area, unaffected by the flow of everyday life. Alright, I know we've read some of this already, guys, so I'm just gonna kind of skip over all this because we already have gone through this. I don't really want to go through it all again. Because these scenes aren't any different when we chose to call Fuminori or anything like that. They're the same scenes. When it goes back to Koji, though, there are new content. There's new content when it goes back to Koji. This is all just the same content we've already read, so there's no point in reading it again. And for those of you just coming in, or those of you who don't know already, Koji's basically found a hideout, or Saya basically told him to go to a hideout where they can stay, and Koji, or not Koji, I mean Fuminori, goddammit. Fuminori bought an axe, and they're hiding away at this secluded place where nobody can find them. So that's basically what that scene was about, for those of you who don't already know. Koji has nothing to do but wait in the stale, moldy air. He has spent almost half a day inside the dark, empty study, straining his ears for the slightest hint of movement below. Few people could endure such a vigil, but Koji has accomplished it without the slightest complaint. It's not that it hasn't been hard, but that he hasn't minded the suffering. Rather than have nothing to do with his razor-sharp nerves, he prepares to sharpen them further through self-abuse. Without a doubt, his single-minded focus is the only thing allowing him to push the limits of his stamina. Koji understands this. He finds it pleasing to inflict pain on himself. Now that the man he thought was his best friend had turned his world upside down, Koji wants nothing more than to destroy all of this insanity, including his own betrayed self. The willpower that comes from self-hatred is stronger and longer lasting than any faith or resolve, no matter how noble. Thinking that Fuminori might be using the house as his hideout, Koji snuck inside carefully, hoping to perhaps take Fuminori by surprise. But it was all a ruse. It was only after he got inside that he realizes that the house was just as abandoned as it has been before. Even so, Koji was sure that Fuminori would arrive earlier than the promised 7 p.m. in order to set up an ambush. However, the sunlight streaming through the windows turned red, then faded to darkness with no sign of anyone coming to the house. Koji found his patience growing weaker and weaker by the moment. And now it's 7 p.m. Just as Koji's frustration is about to peak, his phone begins to vibrate and flash. It's from Fuminori. He's calling rather than show up himself. Despite his anger at having been tricked, Koji manages to keep his voice calm as he answers.
どういうつもりだ、Fuminori?
What's going on here, Fuminori?
いやね。まさか待ち伏せなんていう無駄なことをして神経すり減らしてないか。お前のことが心配になってさ。
Well, I was worried that you might be wasting energy on something silly like planning an ambush, Fuminori says, chuckling scornfully.
遅くなったが、そろそろ本当の待ち合わせ場所を教えておかなくちゃと思ってさ。
It's kind of late, but I guess I should tell you that the real rendezvous point before you lose your mind. Wind. I wonder what I'm thinking sometimes when I misread these things. Did I make it in time?
ふざけた真似を。
Cut the shit.
まあ怒るなよ。当然の用心だろ。
Come on, don't get pissed off. I'm just being careful, right? Fuminori laughs with unrestrained malevolence, as though to emphasize that he's seen through Koji's plans.
お前が大貝教授の家まで来てるんなら、そこからほんの少し先、歩いて行ける距離の場所だよ。
Assuming you're at Professor Ogai's house, there's a place nearby, within walking distance. Yo and I are there.
まずは車に戻ってカーナビを見ろ。どこの番地教えてやるから。
Anyway, first go back to your car and use the GPS. I'll tell you the address.
今度こそ信用できるっていう保証は。
You have any proof that this isn't a trick too?
疑わしければ来なくていい。尻尾を巻いて逃げるがいいさ。
If you're that paranoid, you don't have to come. Just turn tail and run. Fuminori hangs up immediately after speaking his challenge. Koji leaps out of his chair and kicks it across the room, unable to find any other outlet for his rage. However, he has no choice but to do what Fuminori says. He knows that his exhaustion is at its peak. If he stops now, he'll probably collapse like a marionette with its strings cut. There's that analogy again. I know that's been used once. I think that's used a few times, actually. It's a bit repetitive. Only through his relentless obsession is he able to push his body beyond its limits. If he allows himself even a moment's rest, he fears that he'll never again be able to find the courage or willpower to face this incident. If he truly wants to kill Fuminori, tonight is his only chance. Koji knows, of course, that his enemy is probably planning to ambush him. Fuminori isn't going to be chivalrous and fight fair. Not that Koji has any right to complain. Koji leaves the Ogai house and heads for his accord, moving like he's half asleep. Only the base of these foothills has been developed into a residential area. The address Fuminori gave Koji is outside of that area, at the tree-covered top of the hills. His car's GPS shows a road that leads nowhere, but, according to Fuminori, there should be an old abandoned sanatorium there. It's definitely a place that no one could find, even by accident. Maybe this next stop really will be the last. Koji drives up the steep incline, soon leaving the houses behind. Even though the hands of progress are right at his doorstep, the undeveloped forest is darker than he expected. This looks like a great place to live in secret. I'm getting worse with this. I realize this, guys. I acknowledge this. Or to kill someone in secret. Probably the latter. These forgotten places aren't only found far away from cities. Even when surrounded by people, places that draw no attention become blind spots in the world. A broken-down gatepost suddenly appears in the Accord's headlights like a ghost rising from the darkness. It looks like this is the final stop. Koji rolls up to the gate and turns off the engine, giving himself to the silence of the forest. His cell phone starts ringing almost immediately. He doesn't need to check who it's from, of course.
着いたぞ。
I'm here.
あ、聞こえてた。
Yeah,
ようこそ
I
我が
heard you.
新居へ。
Welcome to my new home. Ugh. I can only imagine him saying that in just a really evil, maniacal voice. Ugh. Fuminori is nearby, close enough to hear the sound of the Accord's engine. A shiver of excitement shoots up Koji's spine.
中に入ってこいよ。ようも待ってる。
Come inside. Yo's waiting. Fuminori hangs up without another word. After grabbing his new maglite from the glove compartment and checking that his revolver is still in his pocket, Koji opens the door and gets out of the car. Alright, so a lot of this is still the same. There's really not much that's different, except the fact that Koji doesn't have Tanbo with him, so he doesn't really open the trunk. So it's not really... I think I'm just gonna go through this. I'm not really gonna read it over again. I'm gonna stop skipping over it when we get to the fight between Fuminori and Koji, though. I just feel like it's useless to read some of this again. Because it's pretty much... it's the same content.
誰だ?
And yeah, there's Yo. Yeah, the fate of Yo is really probably the worst out of all the characters. I mean, I didn't like her as a character, but I still don't really think she deserved what she got or anything like that. I mean, nobody deserves rape, definitely. Except rapists themselves. I just think she's stupid. Doesn't mean she needs to be turned into a horrible flesh monster. Flesh monster slash sex slave. Alright, here we go. And then Koji, slave to hate, hears the breathing of someone sneaking up behind him. Koji spins around, swinging his steel pipe with all the killing force he can muster. His enemy hastily leaps back to avoid the strike, apparently not having expected his surprise attack to be foiled by Koji's counter. Twisted shadows dance in the light of the mag light on the floor. Readying his pipe for the next blow, Koji faces off against his second attacker.
Sakisaka. Fuminori.
Sakisaka. Fuminori. Koji never imagined that he would ever say his old friend's name with such hatred.
Oi oi. 今の一振り、まるっきり手加減抜きかよ。
Hey, that swing just now. You trying to kill me or something? Even now, Fuminori is smiling, as though the huge axe in his hands is just some kind of joke.
参ったな。正直なところ、お前はもう少し迷うもんだと思ってたんだけど。
Damn, to be honest, I thought you'd hesitate a little more.
迷うだと？俺が？貴様に？
You thought I'd hesitate? Against you? Koji sneers too, unable to contain his contempt for Fuminori's ridiculous notion.
貴様、近江をどうした？筑波に一体何をした？
How
そ
did
れ
you
を考
kill
えても
Omi,
まだ俺が
you
貴様を
bastard?
殺すのに迷うだと。
What did you do to Tsukuba? With all that you've done, you expect me to think twice about killing you?
そいつは言いがかりのつけ方が逆だろ、コージ。
That's my line, Koji, Fuminori says in a low voice, looking sadly at the pile of meat that Koji just beat to death.
コージの分際で僕の世をひどい目に遭わせやがって。世の10倍は痛めつけてから殺してやる。覚悟しろ。
How dare the likes of you do such a horrible thing to my yo? You'll taste 10 times her pain before I kill you. Prepare yourself. The blade of Fuminori's axe carves a murderous arc through the darkness, glittering menacingly in the faint light coming from the floor. Koji raises his pipe to block Fuminori's brute force swing. The shock of the heavy impact shoots down his arms, but his large frame allows him to push the axe back without losing any ground. The axe comes howling down on Koji a second time, and then a third. Fuminori's weapon, designed for practical purposes, is significantly stronger and easier to use than the piece of pipe Koji just happened to find on the floor. With his hands full of protecting himself from Fuminori's axe, Koji is unable to find an opportunity to counterattack. Each strike he blocks sends chunks of rust flying from his pipe. Come on! Son of a bitch! Koji blocks a crushing downward swing, then pushes back before Fuminori can pull his axe away, throwing him off balance. Stumbling backward, Fuminori plants his feet to regain his balance. Taking advantage of his opponent's temporary immobility, Koji delivers a punishing low kick to Fuminori's outer thigh. Fuminori grunts and retreats, swinging his axe wildly to prevent Koji from following him with another attack. Koji, however, does not press his advantage. He just stands where he is, calmly spearing Fuminori with his stick.
お前、喧嘩に慣れてねえな。
You haven't been in many fights, have you? Fuminori roars and comes in for another attack, but the damage to his right leg seems to be slowing the swing. Easily blocking the axe with his pipe, Koji waits for Fuminori to exhaust himself. Die. Howling crazily, Fuminori delivers blow after heavy blow. However, the battle has already become one where composure, not brute force, decides the victor. When Fuminori raises his axe high for yet another attack, Koji sees his movements have grown dull. Seizing the opportunity, Koji charges into Fuminori's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminori recoils in fear, Koji brings his pipe crashing into his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of ribs breaking. The pain drives Fuminori to his knees. Staring down at Fuminori's defenseless head, Koji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver the finishing blow. Which is when something wraps itself around his left ankle. The instant Koji panics at the unexpected sensation, something soft yet strong winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand, too, is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. That monster is still. That's it, Saya, Fuminori says, encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted in pain, he manages a terrible, victorious grin. Saya. This thing is... Koji struggles desperately, trying to free his limb from the creature's horrifying grip. But more and more, tentacles swarmed over his body like snakes, stealing his freedom from movement. The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the appearance of a creature attacking him is enough to threaten his sanity. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. The most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his breathing and circulation, it's trying to snap his neck, and it's squeezing tighter and tighter. My mind hazy from the pain, I watch as Saya feasts upon her slain prey. We've won. It was hard, and I wasn't able to do it alone, but for the first time, we worked together to defeat our enemy. The price was steep, of course. At least 2 of my ribs are definitely broken, sending a sharp pain shooting through my chest every time I breathe. And then there's Yo. I didn't expect her to fall to Koji so easily. Unlike Saya, she might have been unfamiliar with how to use her new body in combat. My injury must have fueled Saya's anger. Her slaughter of Koji was merciless and complete. As soon as her prey stopped moving, she sank her teeth into his vital organs and ruthlessly extinguished the last embers of life. Though her brutal, grisly actions were unbecoming of her delicate features, Saya's face, covered in blood and gore, was like that of a victorious queen of beasts lording over her defeated foe. There was something noble and sacred about her primal ferocity that made me reluctant to disturb her. I don't know how long I've been watching over Saya's feasting. I've nearly fainted from the pain several times. To be honest, I'm not used to violence. That seems kinda hard to believe. The wounds I suffered in the car accident were worse, of course. But these broken ribs are the most severe injury that's ever been deliberately inflicted upon me. Anyway, you'd think that Saya could show a little more concern for my condition. Koji's already as dead as can be, so there's no reason for her to be in such a hurry. I suddenly realized that Saya has stopped eating. Now she's lying on her back, rolling from side to side. Has she eaten too much? It's been several days since we've had fresh, unfrozen meat, so I understand why she would get greedy. But still, I'm wounded here. She could give me a hand. Because I'm preoccupied with my own selfish wants, I'm slow to realize that something is wrong. Saya isn't just lying down, she's trembling in agony. My blood goes cold, and the pain from my broken ribs is suddenly forgotten.
Saya!
Saya! I jump up, run to her side, and cradle her fallen body in my arms. Her face is pale and drenched in sweat, and her half-closed eyelids and lips are shivering. It's like she has a fever. What's going on? I have no idea. Could she have sustained a serious wound in the fight without my noticing? Could the meat she just ate have been poisoned somehow? I don't understand. All I know is that fear is quickly overwhelming me.
Saya! Saya!
The only thing I can do is keep calling her name with all of my strength. Saya slowly opens her eyes and gazes vacantly at my terrified face.
Fuminori, ごめん。大丈夫だよ。
Fuminori, sorry. I'm fine. Really, I'm fine.
ただちょっと痛いだけ。
It just hurts a little.
何なんだどうしたんだサヤしっかりしろ
What's wrong? What is it? Come on, Saya. There's no way that she's fine. It's glaringly obvious that her condition is dire. Even so, I'm the only one who's panicking. Saya's expression is serene, as though she understands everything. She even smiles softly, as though trying to comfort me.
びっくりしちゃった。
can't believe it. I never thought that the time would come so soon. I might lose Saya, the worst possible outcome, one I don't even want to imagine. I feel overwhelmed by the anxiety and despair, as though I've returned to being a helpless infant. Don't be afraid. Remember what I said this afternoon? This is the sign. This is our only hope.
どういうことだよ。わけわかんないよ、サヤ。しっかりしてくれよ。
What are you talking about? I don't understand. Saya, pull yourself together. Saya answers my tearful entreaty with a smile that of a mother comforting her child. With a smile like that of a mother comforting her child. I did it. I decided to do my best. After all, you said that you loved me. You said that I was pretty.
やめようよ、サヤ。
Stop this, Saya. I don't know what's happening. Whatever it is, though, I can't just sit by and watch as it causes Saya such excruciating pain.
もういい。無茶しないでくれ。何をするつもりか知らないが、サヤが苦しむ姿なんて見たくない。
Enough. Don't push yourself anymore. I don't know what you're trying to do, but I don't want to see you in pain. Don't be like that, Fuminori, Saya says with an exasperated smile. Please understand. In a soft voice, she reveals her secret. They're going to be born. Our children. Ugh. I think I threw up. For a while, my mind goes completely blank.
そんな。いつの間に。
What? When did you...
私もね、びっくり。ねえ、ふみのり。
I'm surprised too. Fuminori? Saya's labored breathing speaks to how much pain her tiny body is suffering. Even so, she wraps her arms tightly around my neck.
外に連れてって。広いところ。
Take me outside, to an open place, under the sky. I nod. What else can I do? If I speak, I'm afraid that I'll be unable to hold back my tears. I mustn't cry, not when Saya is facing her torment so bravely. It feels like Saya is burning up in my arms, and I fear that the terrible convulsions that shoot through her at intervals will tear her frail body to pieces. Praying for her safety, I scoop Saya up and carry her swiftly out of the ruined building. Maybe the cold night air will soothe her fever even a little. But that hope is futile, cruelly dashed as her breathing becomes more shallow and she moans through bluish lips.
サヤ、外だよ。
Saya, we're outside. In response to my call, she opens her eyes once more. Her gaze is cloudy and unfocused. It's clear that she can no longer see. Nevertheless, Saya looks at me. I can tell that she's imagining my expression where my face should be.
約束した。これが最後のプレゼント。
Just as I promised. This is my final present. I know.
喜んでくれるといいな。
I hope you'll be happy with it.
嬉しいよ。もちろ
Of
ん。
course I will. It takes every ounce of my willpower, but I manage to make my voice light and cheerful. In Saya's mind's eye, I know that I'm smiling. She won't have to see my face streaked with tears.
みのり、私を愛してくれたあなたに
To you, who love me.
この星をあげます。
I give this planet. Saya's whisper is weak and pained, but there is ecstasy in her voice. Ecstasy and joy. Her back suddenly shifts, then bulges outward.
この世界はきっと綺麗な場所になる
This
から
world will surely become beautiful, Saya says, softly, as though reciting a prayer.
さやとみのりのためだけの
A
世
world
界に
just for us. And then, Saya blooms. How else can I describe it? Flower petals, long and wide, they spread from her back like the wings of a newly formed butterfly. Their brilliant glow comes from the countless tiny scales that cover each petal like particles of light.
さよならなのか。
Is this goodbye? I ask her, careful to keep the sorrow out of my voice.
違う。これは
No,
始まり。
it isn't. This is the beginning. Saya's pain must have already left her, for her expression is infinitely peaceful and content.
私と海のりの
The beginning
世界の
of our world.
始まり。
And the end of ours. That's right, fuck you, humanity. The radiant motes rise on the wind, covering the frozen winter sky with glittering rivers of light. It is beautiful, overwhelmingly, painfully beautiful. It is the song that heralds the coming of the new world and the destruction of the old. Singing victoriously of their freedom, the shining seeds of life are released into this vast and fertile land. It is a boundless healing. It is an eternal blessing. We shall fill the world with our joy.
これからはずっと一緒だね。
Now we'll be together forever, won't we? Embracing Saya's pitifully shrunken body, I gaze into the shining sky and let my tears flow freely. Thank you. Thank you for this last gift, Saya. Well, that's the last we're going to see of Saya. Oh, but at least she's filled the world with her children. Her probably disgusting children. Pretty sure that's what they look like in reality, at least. She was worried, at first, about how long the preserved foods in the underground storeroom would last her. But now it seems that her fears were unfounded. It's the liquor that she should have worried about. By savoring each drop of spiritus as though it were her last, she thought that her flask would hold out a little longer, but she must have been consuming more each day than she realized. Who can blame her? In retrospect, there's no way that she could have gotten through this without the intoxicating effects of the distilled alcohol. After Ryoko chased useless emotions like hope and despair from her mind, she found herself spending the most peaceful days of her life. As resignation set in, hate and fear left her. Now she feels only awe for what Ogai Masahiko did, and respect for the depth of his intellectual curiosity. After all, neither she nor this world have any reason left to deny his research. Alone in the mountain cabin, Ryoko killed time by bringing order to the documents that Ogai had left behind. She took the scattered, enciphered papers and rewrote them in more readable fashion, eliminating redundancies and improving their ability to be indexed. Ryoko didn't intend for anyone to read them, of course. She knew full well how meaningless her actions were. With her reason to live gone, however, having something to devote her mind to was at least some relief. And now, with the last congratulatory drops of spirituous vodka burning their way down Ryoko's throat, all of Ogai's research lies before her in a single volume. She has finally finished transcribing and annotating the last of his writings. Enjoying the pointless satisfaction of a job well done, she idly pages through the manuscript that she just completed. Something tells me that putting all that together was completely pointless because nobody but you is ever going to be able to read it, considering what has just happened. I don't think there's much humans alive that are left to actually decipher or read any of that or appreciate the work that you've done, Ryoko. I know that she probably did it because there's nothing left for her, but still, it's essentially pointless. I shall conclude by summarizing my theory as it currently stands. The life form that I named Saya did not appear in our universe by chance, nor even as a result of my summoning, but because of the instincts that we programmed directly into her biology. She was created to fulfill the same ultimate purpose that all life shares: reproduction. Saya and her kind procreate by spreading their seeds to other dimensions. What is the probability that they will discover a doorway to another world? Even if they succeed in doing so, the chance that that world being suitable for reproduction must be even more minute. In order to make the most of that scant probability, evolution has granted them a certain ability, none other than the astonishing ability that I witnessed in Saya. To wit, they select the most prosperous species that they encounter, take control of it, and, in doing so, gain dominance over that planet's biosphere. In other words, they hijack the entire species. Upon finding the species that exerts the most control over the planet, they overwrite its genetic code and remake it in their own image. Saya's body is more than capable of this. There is a significant probability that the target species will have evolved into intelligent life. This element may be necessary for gaining control of this planet's environment. Therefore, Saya and her sisters also plunder their target's culture and psychology. Her extraordinary learning ability and intellectual curiosity are likely instinctive tools that enabled her to inherit the target species' entire wealth of knowledge. In fact, it may be that Saya's kind has always had their sights on intelligent life, set on intelligent life. Perhaps they wait patiently for some foolish, extra-dimensional species to gain knowledge of other worlds and, in attempting to fulfill its curiosity, make contact with the outer universe in which they dwell. Rather than send Saya and her comrades on their dimensional journeys with only luck and their own strength to defend on, would not waiting for such a contact greatly increase the chance of finding a world worthy of conquest? Just as I, having acquired the Silver Key, fancied myself an explorer of the unknown, how many intelligent life forms on other worlds have thoughtlessly congratulated themselves for discovering Saya's sisters? Taken by the sudden... Well, maybe if you'd let me read that... Taken by the sudden urge to go outside for a change, Ryoko gathers up the manuscript that she was reading and heads to her car, which is parked in the front yard. I don't know why it just automatically goes by that. She drives a little further up the mountain, to an open place that offers a scenic view of the land below. In the early days of the change, Ryoko often came to this spot to helplessly watch over the mutating city. The one flaw in my theory comes from none other than Saya herself. After using me to learn everything about humanity, Saya should have finally been prepared to begin the last stage of her invasion. However, she never carried out her mission. Why? I hypothesized that Saya was an irregular, even among her kind. Her own kind. It is said that the human race's intelligence has allowed it to conquer its instinct. Perhaps Saya accidentally inherited the disease that infects our entire species. By absorbing the human psyche, she must have allowed the many schools of thought that conflict with our natural instincts to severely damage her reproductive urges. What is human love, really? What is love? What behavior could be more of a hindrance to the efficient propagation of a species? I am reminded of how, at the end of her studies, Saya consumed vast quantities of old and new romantic literature from all over the world. She tried to understand romance as an integral part of the human reproductive process. As a result, she might have unwittingly neutered her own unparalleled reproductive abilities. After all, she had not known love. She had come to this world to rule it in humanity's place, and had studied our species in order to fulfill that purpose. But ultimately, she cannot share love with a human. Without love's blessing, Saya was unable to find the enthusiasm necessary to fill this world with her kind. After learning everything there was to know about humanity, she herself became irreversibly human. Weary of loneliness, she despaired of the world. How pure her maiden soul must have been. If this hypothesis is correct, then it means that I've failed as her teacher. I cannot help but feel ashamed for having spoiled such an extraordinary... Saya. Next to Ogai Masahiko, Ryoko knows more about that entity than anyone else. No. When the young man named Sakisaka Fuminori is added to the running, perhaps she only comes in third. In the end, she never encountered the creature face to face. She would have liked to meet it once, though. If Ogai's analysis of Saya's psychology... Psychology... is correct, then it must have been Sakisaka who restored her desire to conquer the world. And that's a great thing, obviously. Perhaps, as Sakisaka's chief physician, Ryoko played some role in bringing that lonely young man and Saya together, in which case she should at least have the right to attend their wedding to end all weddings. If Ryoko were a man, she might even have charged them a matchmaker's fee. Ugh. Yep, guys, this is what the world is becoming. It's becoming exactly what Sakisaka Fuminori in the beginning has been seeing. Although every human that's still alive is going to see it the same way Sakisaka did. The only person who's not going to see the world being a mutated and horrible, disgusting place is Fuminori himself. So essentially this ending is very selfish, at least I see it, because it only serves Fuminori. It's only good for Fuminori. It's not good for anyone else. I have a dream that one day my daughter will know the blessings of love. I mean, I can see where they were going with it. You know, that Saya desires love, that she needs love and all that, and that she otherwise would never have been loved, and I should feel at least some sympathy, and I do. But at the same time, I would rather have that, you know, it's just, it's really a gray area, like I've said before. But at the same time, it's just, would you rather have these two be happily in love or the world be destroyed? You know, like, which one would be preferable? That's pretty much the question that I think should be asked here. I pray that there will come a day when her heart burns with the flames of passion, and her world becomes bright and joyous once more. Bright and joyous. When that day comes, Saya, your terrible, irresistible purpose will surely consume us. That your progeny might flourish, the whole world will know your love and be reborn. As Cthulhu monsters, yay! We're all Lovecraftian monstrosities now. The world is reborn. Ah, how glorious the future is. I'm sorry, I still can't help but see it as anything good. I deeply regret that I must end my life before I can see that day come. But the footsteps of those who would expose my dream are getting closer by the hour. If I seal my lips in death, then their vengeful hands will not reach you. Please forgive me, Saya, for leaving you alone in this barren world. With the knowledge that you now possess, I know that you will be able to find your own path. The radiance of your hard-won soul shall light the road ahead. Have no fear, have no doubt, march onward, until you reach the answer, until you reach your answer at last. And I, Saya, will dream forever of the future that you will bring. Perhaps it's the isolated environment or the mountain air. Maybe she's just more resistant to the change. Whatever the case, Ryoko has not yet become as inhuman as the creatures wriggling through the city below. She doesn't know exactly how many people on this planet can still be called human, but she's one of what must only be a handful of survivors who are left to watch over the end of human civilization. Of course, it's only a matter of time before she changes too. It's been 3 days since she chopped off her right hand, which had ceased to function as anything resembling a human hand. But the itching that has spread across her entire back is growing more intolerable by the hour. She could look in a mirror to see what she's becoming, but she doubts that would make her happy. That would make her happy. Ryoko thinks that maybe it would be best to just go to sleep here, with the world spread out before her. When she awakens, perhaps she'll be ready to descend the mountain and join the city's revelries. Or maybe she won't even need such resolve anymore. Whatever the case, Ryoko thinks dreamily, as she licks the very last drop of vodka from her flask. After I stop being human, I hope I'll still be able to enjoy the taste of booze. What a great note to end on. Well, guys, that was the, there is no music here. I'll just talk over the credits. That was the third ending. That was the, gift ending. And in my opinion, I hate this ending, honestly. I can see where they were going with it. This is the true ending of the whole game. But, I don't know. It's just... It's different. I'll give them that. And I don't mind that it's different. I think it's kind of a good thing that they're going for something unique. But at the same time, it's incredibly depressing. Yeah, exactly, Carol Keaton. That is probably... I don't know if I'd say... Yeah, it's probably the most depressing ending. Or at least one of the most depressing endings I've ever seen. Because it's pretty much... I mean, like, it's an evolution of humanity, but not into something that is... I don't know, it's into something disgusting. It's into what Fuminori has been seeing throughout this whole game, and when you think about that, it's just... Ugh. Why would you even want that, you know? Because the world is basically becoming that. So, I don't know. But yeah, this game, it's one of my favorite visual novels. It's definitely really unique. And while it is pretty frightening and scary and deals with some really controversial subjects, at the same time, you can sympathize with these characters and you can actually feel emotional towards them. And I think it's unique in that way, in how it can be, like, scary, but at the same time, like, ultramatic. I mean, because usually in horror, you don't care for a majority of the characters. Most of them are pretty forgettable. But in this, there are some pretty memorable characters, especially Fuminori, but not for particularly good reasons. And also, I like how it reminds me of Lovecraft and Lovecraft's work. Because this is pretty much what happens if, like, Cthulhu were to rise to take over the world. I would guess this is what would probably happen. He would, like, just populate the world with the deep ones. They would come from the ocean, though, and not from, some little girl that some guy was having sex with, and, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, it deals with that, too. It, deals with the whole pedophilia thing, and that's what might turn most people off about this. I wish they would have music for these credits, though, at least the last one. The last bit of credits. Yeah. I mean, is it really something that we would want, though? That's what I have to ask. Because I don't think people would want to evolve into that. So did you just join the stream, Crow Keaton? You might have missed a lot, actually. Yeah, this is the, by the way, if you didn't know, this is the final ending. We already got the second one, which I don't really like either. Yeah, true. It's just that the point I'm making is that it's a scary thought that we may evolve into that. I'm not saying that it's, it's an objective thing. It happens whether you want it to or not, but I'm just saying, you really want to become that? It's just kind of a screwed up thing when you think about it. Oh, okay. Well, basically, with the second ending, Koji confronts Fuminori. They fight. He kills Yo because he sees her as a flesh monster. He fights Fuminori, and Ryoko helps him and kills Saya with, what is it, like a nitrogen or something? He freezes her with nitrogen, and then he kills her. Or she kills her, I should say. Ryoko kills her with the shotgun. And Fuminori dies in the second ending, and Koji lives the rest of his life being mentally scarred by what happened. Yeah, liquid nitrogen. And then the third ending you saw, the content is more or less the same because you just pick up from the point where you make the choice that leads to either ending. So I kind of skipped over the content that we've already seen, and the only thing that's different is that during the fight, Koji dies. Yeah. Koji dies, he's killed by Saya, and then Saya has her children. Yeah. And after that, you should probably know what happens after that. Tanbo turns into the Lovecraftian flesh monster thing. After some period of time, it's not really specified how long has passed, how long it's been since that, since Saya had her children. But yeah, that was Saya no Uta, or Song of Saya. I hope, despite this visual novel's rather disturbing content, that those of you that don't mind that did enjoy it. I know I did. Oh yeah, she did. Yeah. Which makes me wonder, like, what she would look like to other people. Like, except for Fuminori when that was happening. Like, she looks like a fairy to Fuminori, but, like, I wonder what she looked like to a normal person. I'd imagine something really horrible. But yeah, just for those of you who are in here, besides who I'm talking to right now, who's Kuro Keaton, tomorrow I'm not sure what I'm going to stream, because my friend Michael, he sometimes joins me for these live streams. He's probably not going to be here tomorrow. And we were going to pick up on The Walking Dead after he gets back. But until then, I'm not really sure what I should play for the next game. Kuro Keaton, if you didn't know, I'm doing something called Horror Month live streams, where I stream horror games throughout October. So I'm kind of wondering what I should do for the next game, because... Right, exactly. It's a, he perceives things differently. So, that's the whole essential point of this. But, getting back to what I might stream tomorrow, I think I've been thinking about it, and I think I want to do Darkseed. Now, for those of you who don't know, Darkseed is a game with artwork by H.R. Giger, and he did the art for, or he did the designs and the artwork for Alien. If you've ever seen the Alien movies, that was H.R. Giger. And he worked on a game called Darkseed. It's a fairly kind of unknown game, but it was released like around, I think, in the 90s sometime, late 90s. It was an older computer game, and it's a really strange game. It's kind of the same level of strangeness as this game I'm playing right now, Saya no Uta, or that I just got finished playing. It's kind of on the same level of weirdness as that. So I think I might do that. And it's not a game that takes a long time to beat, so that's why I think that's the game I think I might play next. So I might be playing that tomorrow. Probably sometime after 5:30 or so, because I work tomorrow. But when I get back, I'm probably going to start streaming that. So if you guys want to join me tomorrow for that, please feel free to. And once again, I hope you guys enjoyed my live stream of Saya no Uta. And I'll see everyone here tomorrow. And I'll probably be streaming Darkseed, so look forward to that too. Alright guys, have an awesome night, and don't let any flesh monsters kill you.